make it another hour or two without it disconnecting and ruining the whole thing. Alright, says I have an excellent connection. No dropped frames. Just waiting for YouTube to pick it up. I don't think it's working. Oh, there we go. Alright, I'll wait for people to join and see if it's working again. No one's joining.
Again, I didn't get the notification, so I have to manually go in.
Can you guys in the chat hear me? That's weird, there's people in the chat, but it said 0 viewers, so I guess maybe it's just delayed. Guys, let me know if you can hear Deox and I in the chat. I don't know if they can hear us. No one's saying they can hear us. No potatoes so far. I don't know, guys. Let me know if we're good. I'm seeing people typing in the chat, but no one... Okay.
There we go.
I'm seeing it. Let's see. OBS says 1 minute and 15 seconds, but YouTube says like 50 seconds. So I think they're just behind us by like 30 seconds. Oh, well. I apologize, guys. My internet is utter garbage, and it makes these live streams really difficult. I'm honestly happy we made it an hour before it crashed on us. So, until I find a way to get better internet, I'm just going to have to say, if you guys are interested in listening to the stuff, you're probably going to have to put up with it cutting out every once in a while. I'm sorry. It upsets me, too. Alright, well, we'll wait for some more of the audience to come back. We don't even have like half the audience now. Oh, no, there comes the YouTube errors again. Damn it.
I mean, if it gets too bad, we could always do a part 2 tomorrow and just...
Yeah, if it gets bad again, we'll try and do part 2 tomorrow, because... the thing I hate about this is we'll be in the middle of like a topic, and then by the time we get everything reconnected, we've lost half the audience, and I can't even remember what we're talking about. It just like destroys the flow of everything. I already forgot what the last thing we were talking about was. I also just don't like my YouTube being cluttered with like part 2, part 3, part 4 live streams. I don't like the clutter too. I don't know.
No, I think in this case though you can remove the first one and then keep the one that we had the longest.
I guess I could just download them and splice them together and re-upload them, but it's kind of a lot of work. I don't know. No, I don't think it's... People are saying YouTube's the problem. I don't think YouTube's the problem. I'm pretty sure it's my internet, because OBS also... It's usually YouTube is the first thing that gives me warnings that the connection's bad, and then after like 2 minutes, then OBS is like, the internet sucks.
Yeah,
I don't think it's
think
YouTube.
It is your connection.
I think it's my connection. It's a really bad internet connection. And I have these issues even when I'm not live streaming too. They're just very inconsistent. My internet will be fine for like 2 days, and then it'll just be like out of control for hours. It's really inconsistent.
I'm like 99% sure that it's your connection.
Because, it's my connection.
When the stream was trying to reconnect, every time that we got live again, you lagged the hell out.
Yeah.
On your end.
Well, we got half the audience back, so hopefully we'll make it another hour or even longer without my internet giving me a middle finger. So yep. This is no longer a boomy Nephystream. It's a poor Nephystream because I can't afford amazing internet. Poor boy Nephystream.
Poverty stream, let's go.
The router I have isn't even like... It's barely over a year old. It's not that old of a router.
Just a connection. It's probably just the connection you're getting, or the speed you're getting from your provider, honestly.
Yeah. I have... Well, they're not called Time Warner anymore. I think they're called Spectrum now. I don't know if anyone's familiar with that provider, but... You know, it's also a meme that America has bad internet in general, so... And I'm in America, so...
You do.
Yeah. We have terrible internet. Anyway. Do you remember what the last thing we were talking about was? Because I forgot.
Yeah, Rauru talking about.
Oh yeah,
teaching the Highland religion.
Yeah, the player is introduced to the Hylian religion and kind of like its fundamental, I guess, its theology through Rauru. So yeah, I guess right off the bat, it does break the perspective of Link, and it goes to Rauru as it's introducing him, and then Link and Zelda show up at his front door. And my favorite scene so far is basically when Zelda shows up at the front door to Rauru's church, and then he opens the door, and he's just like, it's like he's seen a ghost. I really hope I can capture that when I animate it. I think that's my favorite thing.
Yeah.
That I have down in stone so far is just that, like, just he's kind of, I don't want to say he's become like bitter and cynical, but he's kind of become like bitter and cynical. And then just like out of nowhere, just like this thing he thought was lost is back, and it's just like it like revivifies him.
Yeah, it's like it breathes some life back into the old bones.
Yeah. And the thing is, like, he's really passive before that, and then immediately he's like, "Oh, I got all these plans and stuff. I got this plan about Agahnim, this plan to get followers, and I gotta contact it." Like, he suddenly becomes like really active. He's like, "I gotta call the sages. I gotta summon all the sages." Like, he's just immediately like, "Oh, we've gotta do things." But before that, he's just like sitting in his church, just like rotting for hundreds of years, just teaching deacons about this religion. Is probably What?
Yeah, waiting to retire.
He's trying to find his replacement. That's why he's training the deacons. He's trying to find a sage to replace him, but he's just so like, he's so kind of like lost that he can't even really find a replacement. He's just like in limbo. So
do you think like how long do you think he gave up? Like, because obviously he got Zelda out, right, when she was sealed. But how do you think, like, in the in relation to when Zelda and Link show up on his door, do you think it was a very long time ago that he gave up on trying to undo the seal?
Yes, it was a very long time.
Yeah.
And I think somewhere he never really gave up. He just was hoping something. Basically, what happened? He was hoping a solution would just show up on his front door. Basically, I mean, that's what happens when people are depressed. Like, they become passive and they stop trying to do things, even if they have hope of like ending the. I would say he's probably a little depressed at that point, but. So
I mean, the thing is, it must always be in the back of his mind, right? That, you know, Zelda is sealed off over there, right? Like, it has to be like in the back of his mind. Man, can you imagine that? That must be such a bummer.
There's actually an episode of Star Trek, of all things, that's really similar to the idea. Now that I think about it, I don't know how familiar you are with Star Trek, but has anyone in the audience seen the Star Trek episode called The Visitor? Just, I'm gonna see if anyone in the chat knows what episode I'm talking about. If no one knows, then I won't talk about it. But it's a similar concept, or like someone like disappears, but the person knows that person's still out there somewhere for like their whole life, and they basically like waste away their whole life trying to find them. That's basically kind of what happened with Rauru. Except Rauru's lived many lifetimes, so he's just like, he really is like living in purgatory. He's like in his own, he's like in Termina before he's actually died. And I don't see anyone in the chat saying they're familiar with that, unless they're like really far behind us. Although according to OBS, they should only be about like 30 seconds behind us. Unless I've disconnected and haven't realized it.
What is that?
Yeah, I think I've disconnected.
No, you're here.
YouTube's giving me errors. Really? Yeah. We might just do this tomorrow. Yep, there they come. There comes the connection problems again. Damn it.
I'm curious. Is the episode you're talking about when? Oh, what was this guy's name? When he disappears in like a wormhole thing, right?
Yes.
And his son is like obsessively searching.
Yep, that's the episode.
Yeah, okay.
When I think about it, that's pretty similar to what Rauru went through. I'd say it was even worse for Rauru though, because he dealt with it like for probably hundreds of years. Well, now they're saying they can hear again. Oh, yeah, someone mentioned DS9. Someone knows what I'm talking about. Yes, it's an episode from DS9. I don't know if they heard me say that, but... I don't know if we're connected or not. Because on my screen, YouTube has a big yellow box that says error. YouTube is not receiving enough video to maintain streaming, and it says it's gonna disconnect. But there's people saying they can hear me, but I don't know if they're just hearing me from like a minute ago when I was connected and then it's redisconnected. Redisconnected, I don't even think that's a word. Yeah, if you guys can hear us, you know, Toodle or Poodles, because I don't know, I don't even know if we're still connected. If we're not, I think we should just do this tomorrow, because I really don't want to deal with the internet right now. It's honestly, it's kind of embarrassing for me. I'm seeing Poodles. I guess they can hear us. So, guess we'll continue.
Yeah.
But yeah, Rauru basically, I guess to add a little context, I don't want to go into too much detail, but Agahnim imprisons Zelda. But Rauru manages to basically steal her away, and he hides her. He basically hides her in the Lost Woods so that Agahnim can't find her and do whatever he was going to do. But it's the Lost Woods, and eventually Rauru loses track of her, and he's trying to figure out how to get through the Lost Woods again, and he can't. So he eventually kind of just gives up, and, you know, he went across Hyrule trying to, you know, find a way to get through the Lost Woods, and so he feels like he screwed up and like made things worse and lost Zelda for like forever. So he's basically been kind of like living in a limbo, just kind of passively doing his job, and then just one day she shows up at his front doorstep, and it just like instantly like just brings him back to life again, and he just instantly becomes like, oh, I got all these plans and stuff. He's just back into it like nothing happened. And I think that scene when Zelda shows up and he's just like, it's just like, it like hits him in the gut. I think that scene's gonna be really good, assuming I can pull it off.
Yeah, I'm excited to see it. Like yeah, it's just the context of him being alive for that long, and yeah, feeling partially responsible that she's been lost. Right? It's great.
Yeah,
I mean, even if he could find his way back, even if he could find his way back, would he know how to undo the seal though?
No,
That's the thing, right?
I still have it in mind that he doesn't know. He still doesn't know how, but he still probably would. He'd probably still have more peace of mind if she wasn't lost in the Lost Woods.
Yeah. So it's like a multi-layered...
Yeah, it's like a multi-layered, like, oh, well, because he was basically responsible for getting her lost, so it's kind of his fault. But he thought that was the safest place to keep her, because Agahnim wouldn't... You know, Agahnim won't be able to... no one can go through the Lost Woods except the Kokiri.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I don't know if you want to add anything to that.
No, I think that's fine. I think, like, yeah, the Lost Woods is like the best location to hide someone or something.
Yeah, so yeah, hide something. It's so good you don't even remember where you hid it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's probably a good place to start the game too. Like, the Lost Woods is probably the most like Zelda thing, like Zelda location. I mean, it was in the very first game. It's been in almost all the Zelda games.
Yeah.
Yeah. Alright, so, I guess that's kind of where... the last time we had, like, a discussion like this, that's kind of where we left off, was, Rauru... Like, Zelda comes back and meets Rauru, and then there's a bunch of other things that haven't really been figured out yet. I haven't really figured out... Actually, you brought up the question, what exactly Impa has been doing all this time? Because Impa, I think, is just as ancient as Rauru, and, you know, she was also Zelda's bodyguard. Except I kind of want to keep the thing from old Nephystream where technically she's responsible for everything. So she was probably partially responsible for what happened to Zelda, but no one knows, not even Rauru. But my thinking was, you know, her and Agahnim were in on it, but Agahnim basically turned on Impa. He was like, no, I'm going to take advantage of this because he knows how Impa thinks, and he knows Impa will backstab him and dispose of him. So he needs to do something that causes Impa to go into hiding for an unreasonably large amount of time, to the point where Impa doesn't feel like acting in the world. I haven't really thought of a plausible or reasonable thing for that, though. Because part of me is just like, Impa would just assassinate his ass. She might retreat for a while, but she'd keep trying to just remove him. Or maybe she just doesn't feel like there's a monarch that can replace him. I don't know. Until Zelda resurfaces, and then she's like, oh, she's back. I guess now I can actually assassinate Agahnim. Or someone pointed out, maybe somehow Impa's in stasis too somehow. I don't know.
Locked up in the Shadow Temple.
Yeah, I don't want the pattern of people being in stasis to be like common. Like there's already
she's a sage. She wouldn't need to be in stasis. She could just be locked up.
Yeah. I don't know. If we can't think of anything now, I might have to think on that again. But that's definitely a bullet point of something I feel like isn't really figured out. Is what would cause Impa to abandon a proactive or active role in Hyrule for so long and become like passive, like I feel like Rauru makes sense. Like he basically just got really depressed. It's an oversimplification, but like to me it makes sense. Like that's why Rauru like just gave up. But Impa's a fucking Sheikah. Like I don't think she would just accept the fact that Agahnim betrayed me and just give up. I feel like she'd be like, no, I'm going to assassinate him. So the only thing I'm thinking of is she somehow feels like Agahnim should be on the throne, maybe because Zelda's lost or something.
I was thinking, as someone pointed out, and I was thinking the same, it could be that she is sort of afraid of the distress and the chaos.
I guess it's one of those situations where she's like, this actually worked out for the better, maybe something like that.
Yeah, or it's better than the potential outcome of it.
Which is what ends. But then we have to explain why when Zelda resurfaces, she's so willing to put put Hyrule at risk again, just to put Zelda on the throne. And later on, she wants to remove Zelda from the throne. So I'm getting this vibe that Impa is too wishy-washy of a character. Like, and I don't see her as insane.
You could radical. You could just kind of rewrite it in the past.
Rewrite what in the past?
Though her motivation, like change her motivation, and then have it to fit the fact that Agahnim has been on the throne for so long.
Oh, basically she just comes to see Agahnim as a positive.
Yeah.
But then why when Zelda returns would Impa suddenly be like, okay, I guess
because
we need...
he is acting like a crazy person. But when she surfaces, because his paranoia leads him to this.
Oh, so she just does it out of kind of like survival then.
Yeah.
I'll think about that. Yeah,
because the might
be an interesting angle.
Because the thing is, Zelda is a huge threat to Agahnim, and it would like if he loses his cool, like we said that the seal is undone, he gets that kind of like, he becomes magically aware that something happened, right? He doesn't even need to know that it was undone, but there's something happened.
He just knows something's wrong, and it just makes him paranoid.
Yeah.
I guess.
Yeah, it's like, oh shit, and he kind of freaks out, and then someone comes up to him and like, there's this strange girl, and they're plotting against you. He's like freaking out.
Yeah, I might. I'll put that down then. Let me put that bullet point down.
The thing is, he's been in power for so long that any sort of like disturbance in the kind of world he has built would be very unsettling, I imagine.
Yeah, it's hard. I kind of hate characters that are super old because it's really hard to kind of like just it's hard to one, we don't know for certain like what a human would be like if they lived for so long, but it's hard to like portray like the psychology of someone who's so old. Like funnily enough, I feel like Tolkien did it best with his elves. They're like so jaded and bitter.
Yeah.
Except for Celeborn of all people. That kind of he's a freaking happy fruity elf. I mean, he does talk about how he's sad that like Lothlorien is like fading away, but I'm going on a tangent, I guess. I have a hard time. I almost feel like it's impossible to actually write a character that's incredibly ancient. I don't even know if it's really possible. Which is why I feel like the best ones that have been done are kind of like characters that are vague and hard to understand. I guess kind of like Sauron. Like you never, in the books anyway, you never really get a grasp on Sauron because he's kind of like you kind of get this idea that Sauron is actually highly logical, which is kind of interesting. Like he's basically a scientist, which is weird, but I'm going off on a tangent. I mean, it's not a complete tangent, but let me finish putting that bullet point down. Alright, so I guess I have the bullet point that Impa might just want to remove Agahnim because, yeah, he no longer is a fit king when Zelda returns because he becomes paranoid and he starts tearing the kingdom apart, trying to protect what he has.
Yeah, she's starting to see the cracks, right? That's how I see it. That, you know, I guess actually there is a potential issue there too, because then Impa's like, if she's a super logical minded person, right? She would try to assassinate Zelda.
That early?
Yeah, because if she thinks Agahnim does a good job and she sees the sort of effect that her...
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. She would actually remove the threat and keep Agahnim in power, so there's a little bit of a conundrum here. I see people in the chat suggesting that Agahnim also just somehow imprisons Impa too, but I don't know if I just want, like, imprisoned people, like, imprisoned everywhere. Silcaris is also sealed away somewhere. Lots of people just sealed away for long periods of time. I don't know if I want that to be like a common thing in Hyrule. I also already have like a few characters that like died and didn't actually die and have been around for a long time, like Sheik. I don't know if I...
What if Impa was actually ignorant of what actually happened? That Zelda just went missing. And I
feel like Rauru would tell her.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, Rauru is like really chummy with Impa in Nephystream, and that ain't changing. He's like, that's kind of foolish of him, but he confides things into Impa because they're really chummy with each other, kind of literally.
Which is kind of dumb thinking about it.
Yeah, it's, Rauru descending from the heavens and getting stuck in the earth, I guess. Literally getting stuck in the earth. Oh, Impa. Anyway, no, I feel like Impa wouldn't be ignorant because Rauru would tell her. Rauru would be like, I lost Princess Zelda in the Lost Woods. If anything, Impa probably would have helped him, like... Well, not if she supports Agahnim. She wouldn't have helped him, but... I definitely think this is something that I'm probably gonna have to come back to several times. It might be something
I actually think, though...
You think what?
No, I think the simplest route, actually, like you said, the easiest solution was to be remove the thread, but it could be written in a way that he's been around for so long that a thread, like it wouldn't only be the fact that Zelda is returned. It's just that any thread would start to make him act in ways that would endanger the realm, right?
Yeah.
And she's just the Zelda Return is just kind of the catalyst for that.
I'm getting several ideas. It could be possible, because Zelda's gonna be a fucking sorcerer now. I'm gonna do that. It's possible that when Impa sees just the kind of raw power that Zelda has, she's just... No, I don't know if Impa would be that power hungry. Impa's a hard character to write.
Yeah.
Impa is one of the harder characters to write, because it's hard to write a character that fundamentally isn't quite evil, but will resort to very terrible things. Like, that's a very hard character to write.
Yeah.
Because that's such a dangerous mindset to have. Like, it's basically the ends justify the means kind of mindset, which there's a lot of people that think that way, but...
Actually, you know what? Obviously, we could come back to it later, but I think a way to do it is... okay, so... Initially, Impa is, like, cool with Agahnim because he actually is good at what he does, right?
Yeah.
But it's not like she didn't want... it's maybe in the beginning she was obviously working against him, but down the line she was like, you know what, this might be for the best, right?
Yeah.
She wouldn't know either how to undo the seal, so she's the same boat as Rauru, that even if she wanted to back Zelda, she wouldn't know how to, break her free, right? So she wouldn't know how to do that either. And then when Tetra returns, you still have the Agahnim starting to act kind of finicky, but then she has a solution to go back to original plan, which is to support Tetra. And then again, as you said, but why would she, turn against her later on? But that's because we see later on that Tetra has bad optics, which Impa eventually learns.
So right? it's basically Impa overestimated Tetra's ability.
Yeah,
I'm kind of fine with that. I don't know if I'll end up going with that, but I'll definitely put that down. Although one positive thing about all this is now I know for certain why Impa wears a blindfold. I used to kind of just be like a Sheikah kind of general thing, but I actually think now Impa has a very specific reason for it. Because of Agahnim.
Yeah.
The Eye of Truth. Don't look at it, you can't get brainwashed. Or whatever it is. I haven't decided if I'll just get rid of the Eye of Truth and it's just something innate in Agahnim, but...
Yeah, like, the Hansen dynasty is ultimately a creation of Impa in a way, right? Because
she put Nylon on the throne.
Yeah, and she... The thing is that by the time... When Tetra disappeared, the only thing that Impa knew, like, she knew her, but she didn't know her as a queen or a ruler, right? So her overestimating on the basis that she is a New Hansen would kind of make sense, because Tetra is where she is because of Impa. Because if Impa hadn't, gotten Nylon on the throne, it's quite likely that Tetra wouldn't even be around.
Yeah, wouldn't have even been born. So, but then later Impa sides with the Romes.
Yeah, it's because as we have discussed, that Tetra fucks off and is not generally maybe on her own best equipped to rule, and I think that's okay. Like, she is wise in other areas, but ultimately she is not good with ruling people. I don't think that's a problem at all. I actually kind of like that she is obviously wise, in certain areas, but when it comes to people in general, she's kind of has a difficult time.
You mean Tetra or Impa?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
No.
I thought you were talking about Tetra. I was just making sure. So she's socially autistic, I guess.
Yeah, like.
I mean, she is out of time and out of place. I guess that kind of makes sense. So not even necessarily autistic. There's just like a cultural gap because she's been gone for so long.
Yeah.
That would kind of make Link the bridge for her to the world. I mean, literally, he is.
That was, yeah, that was the kind of what I was leaning to. That Tetra is not a good monarch on her own, but with Link, they create a better monarch together.
Yeah.
Or a better crown. That's kind of the idea I was kind of rolling with. So on her own, but Impa is only because she sees only Tetra, right? She doesn't see the eventual joined monarchy of Link and Tetra. She just sees Tetra and she's like, "What the fuck? It's bad."
Yeah, I think for now I'll revisit it, but I think for now I will put down that Impa basically just overestimates the ability of Tetra to maintain kind of unity. But I think it's obvious to anyone that knows anything about feudalism, though, that everything would fall apart if you remove Agahnim and put this little girl on the throne.
Well, actually.
Look at Sweden. Yeah. Look at Christina of Sweden. Like, what happened?
I was thinking, Impa. Actually, you know what? There's probably a pretty easy solution to this.
All right. I'm all ears.
Impa is aware of Tetra's kind of divine blood.
Yes.
Yeah.
But
right.
Keep in mind, though, that the Sheikah are kind of against Hylia and new Nephi canon.
Oh yeah, I know. But
people are saying the chat's buffering. Let's poodles, everyone. Let us know if you can hear us or not. Yeah, YouTube just started giving me errors, so we might disconnect. Made it 31 minutes. Not saying poodles. Crap. Yep, there we go. It's gonna disconnect. Oh well. I think if it disconnects, we'll stop here for today and try again tomorrow. Damn it.
Yeah. I just want to finish my point just for our sake before I forget.
I'm saying poodles. I think people can hear us again, so I guess we'll continue. Go ahead and finish your point. Don't forget it.
I know that the Sheikah as an organization is against Hylia, or they're on the opposite kind of ends. But the point is that Impa is also ultimately her own agent, and if she's aware of the kind of potential Tetra could have, that would be a good motivator to not kill her off. Something to think about, I think.
Yeah, I think Impa is definitely something that's gonna take a while to figure out. Another difficulty with Impa is she's connected to so many things. It's kind of like I probably need a chart just to make sure she's connected to everything and keep track of everything. She's not like there's some characters that aren't like Impa's literally connected to like almost every character and like every event. She's kind of like a mastermind character. It's a little difficult to make sure like, oh well, she's connected to this, then and she's also connected to this, then that connection has to work without like a contradiction. And that's the problem I'm kind of running into. Like if she supports Agahnim, then she would want to kill Zelda. So now I have to think of a way to make those two connections gel, because those two connections should influence the way Impa acts. So
yeah.
That's another difficult thing about Impa's character, is making sure that her connection to everything is kind of seamless. Or I could just scrap the idea that Impa's a mastermind behind everything, and that she's just a lesser Sheikah. I really liked that angle that Impa's kind of been manipulating everything for as long as she's been a sage, though. Maybe even before she was a sage. Like, she really embodies the Sheikah, like, in my mind.
Yeah, I don't necessarily think that the kind of idea that Tetra has potential, that or some potential that she. The thing is, it doesn't even need to be connected to Hylia. Like, oh, Hylia is good. It's more could be seen that the Johanssons are a replacement to
Basically a
build
replacement
against
for Hylia.
Hylia.
I mean, so far of all of these things, I think the best idea was she does see some kind of potential in Tetra after she returns to the world, and just risks. She's willing to risk the. She's willing to risk the stability of Hyrule to try and harness that potential. I just don't know if I would see Impa. I mean, she did risk the stability of the kingdom with Nylon, so I guess she
did.
That's true. She nearly risked destroying the entire kingdom at the hands of Ganon to put Nylon on the throne. So I guess there is past precedent for her to risk the stability of Agahnim to put Tetra on the throne. So I guess that wouldn't be out of character for her. Just what and a also, fucking reckless lady. Like, wow, talking about a gambler.
There's actually a double risk because, luckily in Nylon's case, there weren't more people who were against her as like ascension to the throne. Right, that was a huge gamble. Like, if no one liked that idea, that would have that might have turned into civil war right after Ganon, right? That's a big gamble.
Yeah.
Luckily, in Nylon's case, people kind of like, she's the Ironheart, right? They were like, yeah, this is a good idea. There were a few, but can you imagine like if every freaking, power player in Hyrule was like, yeah, no.
Yeah, I would actually say her letting Ganon destroy Hyrule was probably an even bigger risk than like a civil war.
Oh yeah.
Basically, all Impa had to do with Nylon is make sure Nylon survives long enough. Whereas in the case of Tetra, I guess it's kind of similar. As long as she keeps Tetra alive, she probably... Yeah, I guess I don't really mind having Impa come off as a very reckless gambler, but because that's basically what it is. Like, she's so she's gambling so much just on the faith of initially Nylon and then later Tetra. Like, I guess she's that confident. Well, the funny thing is her whole Tetra plan doesn't go through like it did with Nylon. Maybe she's just that arrogant because she's had so much success in the past. I don't know.
Yeah.
Although she didn't have success when Zelda was lost to when Agahnim turned on her. I would consider that a failure. Just Impa went along with that failure. Like, oh, I failed, but this actually worked out for me. I don't know. I'll think about
ultimately, she's someone that wants results, right? So
yeah, she's an ends justify the means. She doesn't care if half of the Hylian population dies, as long as the Hylian population exists in some form through time. And yeah.
That's what I mean.
Like,
yeah, she
failed.
Blood
is there somewhere?
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Like, yes, she did fail with Agahnim, but ultimately it paid off in some way, right? And that's what I kind of see her justifying her failure.
Well, that's the thing is, I feel like that experience would teach her, like, okay, well, I'm lucky this worked out in my favor, but I'm not. I feel like that situation would basically teach her a lesson. Like, I shouldn't be so reckless. I'm lucky, like, this worked out in my favor, but it kind of makes her just seem like a reckless person. Like, as soon as Zelda's back, like, I'm gonna risk everything to possibly maybe like tap into the power of this like potential sorceress that isn't even proven yet. Like, yeah. Some people are coming in late and asking about the rebooting.
It's also that it's not just she's back, let's put all the eggs in the basket. But you can imagine when if she's in Castletown and Agahnim is like, oh, she's in Dominion, we need to attack the Dominion, right? And she's like, okay.
Are you actually thinking of going through that idea where Agahnim stupidly tries to invade the Dominion to eliminate Zelda?
Yeah.
Oh, you're thinking? Okay, you're actually thinking he should do something like that, huh?
Yeah, I think him actually kind
He's
of
so
becoming...
paranoid. He freaking risks a war with the Dominion just to.
Because it's not only that he's paranoid, but he's probably arrogant. Like he is probably arrogant in the way that he thinks that if he can eliminate her, he can deal with the aftermath.
Yeah,
right.
Because that was my idea. I presented that idea to you and other people like a week ago, but I for some reason I thought you and everyone shot that idea down. Like, no, Agahnim would not be that stupid.
No,
and I agreed. I'm like.
No, I initially I just kind of played the devil's advocate to make sure that it made sense, right? But I actually
because that solves my problem, like my Zora going to war problem. Because that was another problem I was probably going to discuss. Is like, I don't see the Zora just like, yeah, let's just fight a war with the Hylians to remove Agahnim. Like, why the Zora wouldn't do that? Like, they don't care. Like, why would they care about removing this guy who's kept the peace for potentially hundreds of years to put this princess on the throne? And the thing I was thinking of is Debon wants some kind of political power out of it. Like, he would, marry Rallis off to Zelda. Like, that's the only thing I can see. But if Agahnim is just like a paranoid asshole and is just attacks the Dominion, like, the Zora would be like, yeah, we're gonna retaliate. That kind of solves that problem.
Yeah, I think, because I kind of like that.
I guess this makes the Sheikah just look like a bunch of paranoid assholes that like destroy themselves, which I guess is why they destroy themselves. Like, Aghanim's a Sheikah too. Is like him and Impa are just like gamblers of the highest degree.
I mean, there are inbred, so
Yeah, they are. Well, Agahnim. Agahnim might be inbred too, but I don't know how inbred Agahnim is. You have the family tree, I guess you can decide how inbred Agahnim is. Impa's a little bit inbred. In fact, as of today, it might even be Nintendo canon that Impa is inbred. Or Impa and Paya, they all look the fucking same. They're all inbred.
But I do think that yeah, because he would be that arrogant. I think that he knows it's probably not the best idea, but he is so, like, in his arrogance, he thinks that he can deal with whatever comes next, right? Like, as long as he can kill
that's
Zelda.
Such a stupid mistake for Agahnim to make, though. Like,
yeah, but
he should just let Zelda sit around in the
as long
Zora's
as I
domain.
Can kill Zelda, I can deal with everything else afterwards, right?
I guess, yeah. It's just funny that all he had to do is let Zelda just sit around and rot in Zora's domain. That's like, I guess, historical precedence. That's like Germany invading the Soviet Union in World War II. Like, why? That was like one of the dumbest tactical decisions, and Napoleon did the same thing. Like, why? Leave Russia alone. I guess it's similar to that. Aghanim's just, he's so paranoid. He's like, yeah, I'm gonna attack the fish people just to get at the princess, and I'll deal with the consequences later. And it backfires on him horribly, I guess. But I saw someone in the chat. Gone.
No, it's kind of like, imagine reinforcing the fence on your property to ward off like poachers or something, and you've lived like 10 years without no sketchy poachers on your land, and then suddenly you see a poacher in your land, right?
Yes.
It's kind of like that, and you freak the hell out.
Okay, my caveat to this, my condition of Agahnim recklessly invading the Zora just to kill a potential threat and like risking everything. My one condition is there has to be a point where he discusses it with people and they discuss the risks, and they're like, no, this would be really stupid to attack the Zora. And Aghanim's like, I agree, but the risk of this princess, like something, a scene like that where it's like the fact that it's an absolutely boneheaded tactical decision is addressed, because like, and the thing is, I don't mind Agahnim making a stupid tactical decision, but like it's like it's such a stupid thing for him to do. Like,
yeah, it needs to be addressed in the universe, basically.
That's such a stupid thing for him to do.
No, but I can imagine that he'll talk to people about it, and he's like, yes, it's stupid, but he's like, I've kept the kingdom stable for this, for a long time. We can deal with the aftermath, right?
Yeah.
Whatever comes after her death, we can deal with it. Like, they're not afraid of the Dominion. They can deal with it afterwards.
Yeah.
And everyone else is like, I don't know about that.
Yeah. We can even have, good old Akazu be like, nah, I don't think this is a good plan.
Yeah.
And all the Hylian lords under him. But the thing about Agahnim is he can influence people with the Eye of Truth. So despite all of that, in the end, he could convince them just through his devilry, I guess.
Yeah.
This is why it's always good to have advisors, which I guess this is kind of what this stream is. It's kind of like a weird way to maybe get advice.
Yeah.
But someone had asked what Impa's endgame is. I guess we might have to go a little bit into the background of the Sheikah, because they changed a little bit between old and new Nephi canon.
Yeah.
We didn't really talk about some of the cosmological aspects of Hyrule before we got into this. I don't know, should we talk about some of that stuff then? And kind of just put a bookmark in Impa and Agahnim shooting himself in the foot with lightning?
Yeah.
Which, actually, I guess before I move on, the idea that Zelda's actually like a sorceress now, I think I went with that because I had the image of Link fighting. Okay, one of the biggest regrets, and I've been saying this for years, one of the biggest regrets I've always had about Hyrule Conquest or Hyrule Total War, Link and Agahnim never meet. Like, I really feel like Link and Agahnim should have had some kind of conflict with each other. That's something I always like, even to the point where I considered digging up Agahnim from the dead just so Link could confront him later in life. And then I ended up scrapping that idea. But I had this image in my mind of basically Link's no match for Agahnim, and he's just he's basically like almost dead, and he's doing it basically to it's kind of like a desperate situation where he's trying to get away with Zelda, but he can't. Aghanim's just too much of a match, and then Zelda just fucking burns Agahnim to death, just like torches him to death. Just that image of like her just out of like sheer desperation, like no, leave Link alone, and then just like this raw intuition, she just like completely blindsides Agahnim, just burns him to a crisp, and just, I don't know, and then she's like horrified from it too. I think that would be kind of a cool scene. I don't know if I disconnected there or not, or
no, you didn't.
Oh, okay.
Channel some of that Akal and Hocus Pocus, you know.
Yeah. I just think that would be a great scene. Just Agahnim absolutely blindsided by this little girl setting him on fire, like not even like intentionally, like it's just like raw intuition, and she just burns him to death. And just like her having horror at like the fact she just burned this person to death. I think that would be kind of an interesting moment, I don't know, for that character to go through. And Link doesn't even, or maybe Link witnesses it, and they like, it's like a secret her and Link like keep between each other, like, I don't, cause she's still kind of a young girl, and like that's the first person she's ever killed. Like, that'd be kind of a bit traumatic. Like, even though this person was trying to like murder her and Link, and did all, killed her parents, did all these horrible things, it's still kind of traumatic to just light someone on fire and watch them burn horribly to death.
Yeah, she'd probably be pretty traumatized.
Yeah, she'd probably be a bit traumatized, and it's something, it's like a secret her and Link keep, I guess. Like, she doesn't feel comfortable like going, I killed Agahnim, like, it's, I guess that could be yet another link between those two characters. It's just kind of a secret they keep because it's a little bit traumatic for her.
Yeah.
Anyway, I think this all started because someone asked what the end game of Impa is. But diving a bit into the backstory, Hylia and the Oka are kind of like having a cold war across all of time. And taking cues from Twilight Princess, the Sheikah are kind of like kind of the creation of the Oka, and the purpose of the Sheikah is kind of to undermine Hylia in a way, which is really ironic that, you know, I don't know, maybe Impa wants to actually use Zelda against Hylia, even though she's like a direct descendant of Hylia. So the end goal of the Sheikah is to kind of free the Hylians from Hylia and put them, I guess, under the watch of the Oka, like kind of like to end that Cold War between Hylia and the Oka, even though the Oka get destroyed, like. So it kind of puts a little dent into the thing that I need to figure out. Yeah, I'm seeing some other people. I think some people came in late and they're wondering why things are getting changed around. I did kind of explain that I think twice now in the beginning of this stream, and then the last stream, and then the other stream that got disconnected. I don't know if I want to repeat it. I might just be a lazy asshole and say, just watch the first 20 minutes of the stream when we're done, I guess. But
I mean, the person kind of answered it though. It's unsatisfaction with where the story was going and how it was built from the ground up. That's pretty much it, really.
Yeah.
It's like the short version of it.
Yeah, as someone pointed out though, this isn't the first time I've like overhauled. Like the first time I really overhauled everything was basically when I started Hyrule Total War. Because before I started Hyrule Total War, I had those RPGs and I had that Gerudo Wars comic I was making. And then when I started Hyrule Total War, I wasn't satisfied with those, and like, you know what? Now I have a chance to, work in Medieval 2 and kind of have a fresh start and make everything a real-time strategy game. So I kind of like remixed things. And then around 2015, there was kind of a shift, but it was more like you were saying earlier, where it was more like, the stuff I've done is kind of there, but I'm adding on to it. It wasn't exactly like a... Yeah, but I guess to answer the question, what brought this on is it has to do with the image of Rudo I'm using with the thumbnail. I found software that I think renders my stuff better and makes the stuff look better. And in order to use that software, there's a lot of things I have to tweak with the models or outright redo with the models to get them compatible with that software. And I was thinking, like, it's gonna be a lot of work to like get all my models to work in that software. So I might as well touch up the models and make them look, redo models and get rid of things I don't like and make them better as I get them into the new software to render. And then that just led to me being like, you know what, I'll do that with the story too. I'll fix things I don't like and get rid of things I don't like and kind of refine things I do like and something like that, I guess. So I guess I did end up repeating myself for like the third time.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, that's kind of the short version of it. Yeah, so people are saying Zelda doesn't kill Agahnim. Agahnim commits suicide by Zelda. No, I like the idea of Zelda just utterly destroying Agahnim, pure emotion and desperation, because she's like, no, I guess that's the first hint that like she sees something in Link.
Yeah.
Which is nice, because I still want to do kind of like the same thing in old Nephi canon, where it's like there's a very long build up between the two. It's not like they meet and like, oh, let's get married like right away. It's like they don't really like each other at first. And it's just something that happens over a very long period of time. Like that was going to be the case in old Nephi canon too. Like, I mean, just watch the Fallen Sage cinematics. Him and Zelda like don't quite like each other. They have like a little moment at the very end when she's like, "Oh, I never really got to thank you for everything," and they establish that little connection. But that's something I don't think is gonna change. Like, it's gonna be like a very slow kind of build up between those two. Yeah. In fact, Link has other potential suitors before that, which was also the case in old Nephi canon too, I guess. Someone's asking if they'll pull that romance in BOTW 2. I wouldn't get your hopes up. I don't think they will. I think they'll hint at it like they usually do in Zelda games, but you'll never have a scene in a Zelda game where they get married. You'll never have it. Not while the current people that are at Nintendo are at Nintendo anyway. You'll never have anything like that. And maybe I'll be proven wrong, and then in a year or two from now, like, people can laugh at me on a live stream, but I would bet money you'll never see anything official like that in a Zelda game. At most, like, you'll get a scene like where Zelda's crying and Link's like, "Oh, I'm sorry," like something like that. What do you think? Do you think they'd ever do?
I said this like 2 years ago. Actually, I said they had the chance in Skyward Sword and they didn't do it, and after that, I don't think they will do it.
Yeah,
like
they had the chance again in BOTW, and they didn't do it.
No, like the thing is, in Skyward Sword, everyone kind of was led on to believe that was the conclusion, and it didn't happen, and now I'm pretty convinced that it won't happen.
The weird thing about Skyward Sword is I feel like the only fucker who thought their relationship in that game was completely platonic. Like,
yeah, you were.
I did not get a romantic vibe in that game at all. I got the vibe of like just childhood friends being cutesy. I did not see anything romantic, but it's pretty consistent. Most people are like, "Oh yeah, they were like at their most romantic in Skyward Sword." I'm like, they were like toddlers, like just being cute with each other in that game. They were, but I don't know.
Yeah,
I feel alone
it
on
blew
that.
right over your head.
What?
Yeah, it blew right over your head, honestly.
I guess I don't know.
I mean, they actually make it quite explicit sometimes. Like you know that soundtrack that plays when they fly around on their loft wings. It's actually called like romance in the air.
Well, yeah.
Like, they make it really
I know.
explicit.
The thing is, I have a feeling that's what they were going for. I'm just saying the end result to me, like, it was like middle school kids. Like, at most, it was a little flirty, but I saw them as just friends in that game. I don't feel like they were romantic. Like, they don't kiss. I don't think they don't hug. At least in Breath of the Wild, like, he gives the poor stupid bitch a hug. In freaking Skyward Sword, she pushes him off a cliff. Like, to his death. Like, that's not... I mean, I guess to some people that's romantic if you're into that sort of thing, but to me that's not romantic at all. That's like... Maybe it's more obvious in the Japanese version? I don't know.
No, but the thing is that, like... based on the story they were trying to tell in Skyward Sword, and then looking at the ending we got of that story, then I don't think they will ever do it, like confirm it at all. I think.
I forgot that was the original point. Yeah. But,
I don't think it will happen. Again, if it happens, then feel free to laugh at me next year.
Yeah, me too. I don't think it'll happen.
I don't think it will happen, but I wouldn't be against it, and I know a lot of people would be happy about it. So I personally am kind of like whatever about it, but if it happens, then yeah, happy for the people.
I don't think they'll do anything like that. Not even just like the romance between those two. I don't think they'll do anything serious. I know people keep going on about how like in the new Hyrule Warriors game, oh, they're all gonna die. It's gonna be like a Doom. No, it's not. Again. I think it comes out in like 2 months. Then we'll have a live stream, and if I'm wrong, you guys can laugh at me. But I can guarantee you, the ending of Hyrule Warriors, they'll somehow spin it into a not negative ending. They'll somehow do it because that's Nintendo. They can't help it. They want their games to be friendly to toddlers, I guess. I mean, what do you think? Do you think they'll actually have like that downer ending? Or do you think they'll
I think they will.
Oh, okay.
I actually think they will.
All right.
But
well,
I think...
then you can laugh at me in 2 months. We'll do a stream, I guess, in 2 months. And you can be like, I told you, Neph.
No, I think they will have... I don't think it necessarily will be a downer ending, but I think they will have that downer moment. But they will kind of allude to, but it's not over yet, and then leading into the original game. That's kind of how I imagine they will do it. Like it'll be really sad and sappy for like.
I don't think I don't even think you will see the champions die on screen. It'll all happen off screen still.
Yeah,
there'll probably be like a level where you're playing as the champions, and then it'll switch to a different champion or something, and then you'll see text off screen like, "Oh no, I can't handle them." You'll never see them die on screen. Never. They won't show it. You probably all of you will probably be laughing me in 2 months like, "Oh, Neph was wrong. They showed them, freaking die." But I don't think they'll ever do anything like that in a Zelda game. They at least while the people in charge are in charge. Maybe in like 10 years, Nintendo will get new blood and they'll be like, "Oh, let's take a few more bold decisions. Let's actually have Link and Zelda get married and this character die." Like, maybe in 10 years, but right now, no. They will never have an official romance. At most, they'll have like kiddie schoolyard romance, like the stupid frog scene, and that's like the most you're gonna get for the time being. And you won't have any on-screen deaths. The champions will die off screen probably. Just in Breath of the Wild, when the Guardians like destroy Hyrule Castletown, there's no one in the city. You don't see anyone die. It's just the buildings are on fire and the Guardians are running around shooting lasers. You don't see a single person. They won't do it because they just want the games to not. My only guess is they just don't want to scare kids. Which, dude, watch The Secret of Kells. That's a cartoon made for kids where it shows people being brutally murdered by like cartoon Vikings. That's an amazing movie. I don't know what is with this thing nowadays where like people are afraid to show anything like real about the world to children. I don't know. I feel like we went on a tangent there.
We did. Bottom line is, like I said, if they didn't do it in Skyward Sword, they're not doing it in the sequel. At least that's my take. And if I'm wrong, then awesome.
We'll do a stream, and I'll title the stream like "Audience Laughs at Us for Actual Romance" or something. I don't know, something like that. Like we'll have like an hour stream where we'll let everyone in the chat laugh at us for being horribly wrong. Yeah. Anyways, yeah, that was a huge tangent. I don't even remember what started that tangent. I think it was someone asking about someone asking about I think it's because we were talking about Link and Zelda and Hyrule Conquest and their kind of relationship with each other, and then someone in the chat asked about something. I don't know. Anyway, I don't know. Where should we go from here? What is there anything in particular you want to talk about? Like anything you wanted to like flesh out or discuss? I think if you don't count the hiccups, we've been going on for 2 hours, so I'm fine going on for about another hour if you want, unless you need to go or something soon.
I'm getting a bit hungry, so I don't want to go on too long at the moment because I need some food.
Do you maybe want to do a part 2 tomorrow, and we could just do a little Q&A now before you can't hang on anymore?
Yeah, I think
All right. I guess we'll do. Well, I guess it's more like part 4 tomorrow.
Yeah. Ideally part 2.
All right. How long do you think you can handle not eating, or are you like starving? We should just end now.
No, we can do a Q&A for like 20 minutes.
All right, we'll do a Q&A for 20 minutes. So you guys ask questions, and then we'll do a part 2 tomorrow if you guys want. Yeah, that live stream didn't go very smoothly.
Yeah, and I also noticed. I don't know if you've ever noticed when we do these live streams, but there's a certain point where my English skills deteriorate because I get so tired. Deteriorate. Yeah, I get tired and I get really rambly, and when I get tired, it's like my language skills just fall out the window completely.
All right, then we'll wrap it up, and if you want, we'll do a part 2 tomorrow.
Yeah, it'll probably be higher quality, at least on my end, because then I can get a good night's of sleep.
Yeah,
and some rest.
I mean, I was up really early today, but I'll try and get on a little earlier tomorrow too. I only got 4 hours of sleep last night because I had a fucking bizarre ass dream that I couldn't fall asleep after that dream. About the Halo and Shadow of the Colossus crossover. I still have no idea how my brain like combined those two games together in a dream. It was so weird. All right, here comes some of the questions. You're what?
I'm just gonna tell the chat if you have any questions, then feel free to ask them. We will probably do a part 2 tomorrow. So, but feel free to ask.
Yeah, I'll try and be up around noon Pacific time. I have a feeling I'm gonna sleep in tomorrow because I don't have to go to work tomorrow, and I only got 4 hours of sleep last night, so I'm probably gonna sleep until about noon. Anyway, I'm seeing quite a few questions. Let me try and find the first one. What update of Hyrule Conquest will include the Huskus? Do you mean like the update I release on like for players to play, or do you mean like will the Huskus be an updated, like the update that I'm I guess I can answer both of those. Yeah, the Huskus will still be in Hyrule Conquest, and I'm not sure when the Huskus themselves will like be in like the game where you can download. I'll probably go through and add just a bunch of minor factions after I get all the actual factions into the game. So probably sometime in like a year or two. And then Kevin Jimenez asked, are Wosus really descended from Darknuts? Possibly. The Hylians don't. Well, the Hylians don't really have like a system of genetics, so symbolically they're kind of related to the Darknuts.
I imagine they see them as related races, honestly.
Yeah, they would group them together. I don't, Hylians don't have any concept of genetics, so I don't know if they're genetically related, but symbolically and functionally, Wosus are very similar to Darknuts. They're big, tall dog dudes with huge swords. Let's see. These comments are zooming down. Okay, there's the Wosu question. Mr. Stalfos asks, so out of curiosity, what of the future of my bony brothers and sisters? Oh, the Stalfos? The Stalfos will probably be in, I want to say sometime in the next, like right now, Ascaris and Exodarian are kind of trying to fix a bunch of bugs, and I'm adding 6 heroes to all the current factions, and I'm almost done with those. I finished the 2 new Dark Knight heroes like the other night. I need to do the Deku Scrub ones next. So sometime in the next few weeks, I'll have a release that adds it doesn't add 6 new heroes. It adds 2 new heroes to all the existing factions. So each faction will have 6 heroes, and you can pick between 3 of them in a match. And Exo and Ascaris have fixed some bugs, and they've added some new features. So you'll get kind of like a patch that fixes some things and adds in new heroes. And then after that, I'm probably finally going to do the Sheikah and Stalfos. I want to say maybe by Christmas time. I feel like I shouldn't be giving a specific date, but I want to say maybe around Christmas. You guys will probably see, if it's not released, you'll see like footage or screenshots of Sheikah and Stalfos stuff by Christmas. Finally.
Woo.
How does Impa orchestrate the rise of Ganon? In old Nephi canon, she kind of played Ganon and Bongo against each other because she kind of wanted to also eliminate Bongo, who is a political enemy of Impa's. Bongo is basically, it's probably going to be the same thing in new Nephi canon too, but Bongo is basically just like Impa. She was trying to just control Hyrule on like a meta scale, but Impa just bested her and executed her. Yeah. Let's see. Yeah. What will be his backstory before he somehow got into Termina? Until who gets into Termina? The Ganon?
I think Skull Kid.
Oh, Skull Kid?
Skull Kid.
I probably won't change. I probably won't change any plans I had for Skull Kid. Basically, in old Nephi canon and probably new Nephi canon, Skull Kid is someone Link befriends, and he has a chance to save Skull Kid from a horrible death, or Princess Zelda, but I think you guys know who he picks. I don't know if I've actually talked about that to you, Deox. I don't think I've talked to anyone about Skull Kid and Nephystream. I might have. I'm so fuzzy, but during the okay, no, I know I've talked about it with someone because I've mentioned somewhere online that Skull Kid is in the Labyrinth arc.
Yeah,
I know for certain I've mentioned that somewhere, in a live stream or on Discord or something. But basically, Link befriends Skull Kid at some point during Men, and they kind of become friends. I almost feel like in new Nephi canon, he might be like the replacement for Mido. Like, because Mido betrays...
Friendship ended
Mido betrays Link.
Friendship ended with Mido.
Yeah, Mido, like, betrays Link, and Link kind of loses his sidekick, and then Skull Kid is almost, like, filling that void that Mido kind of left from being a dirty traitor. And then Link basically ends up in a situation where he has to pick between, who lives and who dies, and he doesn't pick Skull Kid, and that doesn't, Skull Kid doesn't forgive him. That might change in new Nephi canon, but that's kind of how it was in old Nephi canon, and I don't think I'm going to change that, because I kind of like that angle a lot.
Yeah.
So yeah. See, will we have our cult? Oh, yeah, Odysseus and I had plans tomorrow. Damn it. Odysseus, would you be okay postponing it to Wednesday? I'm sorry, Odysseus, I forgot. Him and I were gonna discuss Kokiri stuff tomorrow. I forgot tomorrow's Sunday. I'll get back to you on that, Odysseus. I'll message you on Discord when we're done here. See, now you have a new engine, Hyrule Dating Sim Win. That's just a meme now. The Hyrule waifus.
Yeah, it's gonna be great.
I don't think I'll ever do it, but I know it'd make me a lot of money if I did it. It's always like that temptation in the background, just like do Hyrule waifu
I know Exa
simulator.
wants it.
What?
I know Exa wants it. Tea time.
And I know for certain that would probably get the attention of Nintendo and get everything shut down. And I'm
time with Volcaris.
What?
Tea time with Volcaris. Come on.
I'm personally not interested in a waifu simulator. I kind of want to portray something genuine between Link and Zelda, I guess, not like a fantasy. That's just me. I know a lot of other people are into the whole waifu thing, and I'm not. If you want a waifu simulator, I'm certain the new Hyrule Warriors will probably be a waifu simulator, just like the first one. I mean, it's not an actual waifu simulator, but it has like that waifu vibe to it. Like 90% of the characters are like romantic love interests for Link in the first game. I wouldn't be surprised if in the second one, Rivali's like a romantic interest of Link. He's like eyeballing him. Anyway. So, should we expect the next update to be delayed due to the lore overhaul? Nah, I wouldn't say that. Because the gameplay stuff is kind of... I wouldn't say is really affected by it. If anything, it'll delay when I start like cinematics again. Although, as soon as my PC's finished getting repaired, I'm gonna render a few short scenes in the new my new software just to show you guys and kind of get some opinions, like if it actually looks better. I think it looks better, and the screenshots, like the still images I've rendered, I think look better. Like the Rudo I have there. I'll probably animate Rudo. I'll probably animate Rudo and Midna, and I'm almost done remodeling Tetra, so I'll probably do like a 20-second animation of each of them in like different lighting conditions and be like, hey, how do you think this looks, guys? And hopefully it'll look like 10 times better than the last cinematic I did, which was the Deku Scrub trailer. I think that was the last thing I animated, which is almost a year ago now. Fudge sickles. It's been almost a year since I've done like a cinematic of any kind.
Yep.
See, how does magic work in Hyrule Conquest? Because they're witches, wizrobes, sorcerers, etc. I guess I should explain how magic works in reality. Because that's kind of in stories, like things like wizards and stuff are kind of like a hyper condensed version of like what magic kind of represents. But let's say, okay, an example of like a spell. I want a cup of water. There's a cup of water across the room, but I don't want to go up and grab it and physically grab the water. But I use my will to bring the water to me, so I ask someone else in the room, "Hey, could you get me that water, please?" And then they go and give me the water. That's magic. That's a very, very simple form of magic. That's what magic is. It's basically willpower.
Yeah, it's
affecting the world through it's affecting the world through means that are not necessarily physical, at least obviously physical. Yeah. That's basically all magic is. Traffic lights are magic. You stop at traffic lights without even thinking about it. Like a traffic light, it's casting a spell on you.
I actually, the glass of water, I remember there was a good example of that, is that, okay, so let's say you want the glass of water, but you ask me to go and fetch it for you. You're imposing your will on me to accomplish something. And let's say you had the glass of water levitate to you, you're imposing your will on reality rather than the net. So the agent changes, but the act is the same. That's kind of the idea behind it.
Yeah. I would specifically say magic is just it has a connection to technology. It's just it lacks that physical means of that. It's basically it's affecting the world through means that aren't obviously physical, which, I mean, everything physical and non-physical is connected. So I do believe there is an element of the material behind all magic, but it's, to me, that's like like wearing a business suit. One of my favorite examples is wearing a business suit to a job interview is a magic talisman. It has an influence that is not, it can't really be quantified in a sort of materialistic scientific way. Like you can kind of use like scientific methods to pick out, oh, maybe this part of the suit is influencing, but the point is, like, you're not going to the job interview and like punching the boss in the face like, you're hiring me now. Like, you're not using physical force, you're using subtle non-physical means to influence the world. That's what magic is. And things like wizards and sorcerers and witches and stuff in stories are basically like hyper condensed images of that in a story, like using really, really powerful images to get the point across to the reader, like, oh, this guy he has so much magic to influence the world, he's like so powerful he can just make things levitate with his words. Like, it's like, now we're getting into symbolism.
yeah.
We'll lose our audience if I keep going down this conversation.
No, but Anthony in the chat actually kind of summarized it in a pretty okay way. Like, the magic is willing reality to do something and having it obey you consistently. That's a very good summary of it. The thing is, it doesn't necessarily need to be reality, but it can be any agent. But reality is a part of it, though.
Yeah. I think Alan Moore said it best. The only there are practicing wizards in the world, and they are advertisers. I do, I fall for it sometimes myself. I can guarantee you, all of us have bought something we wouldn't have bought if we didn't see an ad that it willed us to buy something we didn't want or need. Like, advertisers, they practice magic. I know that, like, I'm probably gonna lose some of my materialist audience, but like, I'm not joking when I say that. Like, they basically are the modern version of what a medieval person would see as a wizard. They use subtle means to influence people to do things and act out their will. on a very large, like, on a huge scale, too. Like, the world of advertising, like, basically controls the world right now. So that was Alan Moore who pointed that out to me.
I just had it. Let's say if you make the glass of water levitate, you're selling an ad to reality.
You're selling an ad to reality.
Yeah, making reality buy your bullshit.
No, I really think it would be really helpful to bring back that kind of medieval thinking to the world, but it's just so many people, like, they frame their world through the scientific method. It's really hard to it's kind of hard to get people to see that you can frame reality. Like, there's not just, like, science. You can frame reality in different ways and, like, navigate through reality. It's hard to, like, get people to see that, which is ironic because the world is so postmodern right now. You feel like people would be like, oh yeah, I can see how I can just, like, take off science goggles and put on, you know, phenomenological goggles. That's what I would call it. But people, I don't know, science has an interesting grip on, it has what I guess what I'd call, or actually Peugeot coined this, it has like mental tyranny on people. It's kind of weird. I think it's probably just because scientists have, like, granted people so much power over the last few hundred years that's why people kind of lean in that direction. They like the power.
That was the biggest.
Huh?
That was the biggest plot twist. That's the biggest plot twist. The scientists were the wizards.
Well, yeah, they yes. I would compare. This is gonna sound really funny, and this is definitely gonna lose people. But to me, the scientists are more like they're more like the people. They're more like the line of Cain in the story of Enoch. They're manifesting the divine in a way. Like, for those unfamiliar with the story of Enoch, basically, in the line of Cain, they developed technology. They developed, you know, swords and instruments and civilization. They built technology to alter the world, but it was influenced by the divine principles. So I guess you could say that's magic in a way, but it's not really. I mean, Azazel taught the line of Cain necromancy and say, yeah, it is. Yeah, the scientists were wizards. They were. they would at me saying that, but I'd be like, no, they practiced magic from the 1600s to the 20th century. But yeah, I think I went way off topic. Was there? Yeah. Let's see if there's any more questions. See. So Zelda imposed her will on reality for Agahnim to spontaneously combust. Yeah, she so desperately doesn't want Link to die in that moment and feels so horrible for him that she's just like, no, enough. And as an audience participating in the story, that's letting you know that her will supersedes Agahnim's in a narrative kind of image of him igniting on fire and burning to death. And, you know, fire is connected to imposing order.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love the symbolism. Oh, I love it. That's what I was talking about earlier. You can't avoid the symbols. Like, it just intuitively came to me. You know, she burns him to death. Oh, it's connected to her imposing the order on him. Like, yeah. It would be the same thing if she used, like, light. Light is basically, like, even higher in the hierarchy than fire when it comes to, like, you know, illuminating reality and creating a sense of order on reality, because it's literally illuminating things. So I guess it'd be even more impactful if she used light of some kind. But I think I like fire a little more because it's a little more primal, like, or not primal, but like it's more visceral. Just having Agahnim burn to death.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm going to school for advertising stuff, and I can confirm advertising is magic shenanigans. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Isn't fire about destroying order? Okay, basically, in a lot of ancient cosmologies, there's two ways that perception of human reality falls apart. One way is the world is flooded by water, and the other way is it's burned by fire. And basically the idea is, if there's no structure to anything and things are becoming chaotic and kind of breaking down, that causes what humans perceive as a flood. Fire is the opposite. Fire is basically things are so hyper structured that it just burns down. Like, fire is basically the result of excessive order. So even though fire is a destructive force and it ultimately dismantles order, it is the direct result of imposing too much order, so to speak. And that's kind of how...
The thing is, fire has states in which it exists. So when we think of fire, imagine a campfire. A campfire or a brazier or something like that is a very good visual symbol for order, because it's something that is maintained and it also illuminates. However, it also has a chaotic element when like an actual fire, an inferno, that can also be perceived as chaotic. But generally, the process which leads chaos in regards to fire is usually something that's order, while water and the flood is inherently chaotic.
Number name trees are like one of the most primal symbols of order for humans, so I don't think it's too surprising watching a forest burn down. like fire's not going to start in the ocean, like, because the ocean is like this chaotic medium. Like, fire happens where there's too much order that can be burned. Like, yeah. Yeah, let's see if there's any more questions, and I guess we'll just put this off until tomorrow. How did Skull Kid manage to become the leader of the Church of Majora? I wouldn't say he's the leader of the Church of Majora. He's kind of Link's connection to Majora. I guess that's probably the way to put it. He's like he's a personal connection Link has to Death. I mean, Link has a lot of personal connections to Death, now that I think about it. Poor Malin, but... Although, I don't know if you saw it. I don't even know if he's listening, but someone in the Discord actually connected Malin to Majora in an interesting way. I don't know if you saw it the other day.
No, I don't think I did.
I'll mention it in the Discord, I guess, when we end this and right before you leave. But
sure.
I might... Well, it actually wasn't his idea. It was someone found a piece of art online that kind of... I don't think it was their intention, but it kind of actually connected Malin to Majora in an interesting way, which would fit in Hyrule Conquest because, full-on spoilers, Malin and Link are connected to Death in some way. I'll put it that way. But I'm not seeing any more questions, so we might wrap it up here. And well, I guess we'll try and do a part 2 tomorrow. I'm actually feeling a little worn out, so I don't know if I'll be in the mood tomorrow. But if you're in the mood, what should we talk about? What's the first topic we should talk about tomorrow? Like, is there something in particular you want to kind of brainstorm?
Yeah. Or? Yeah, what we briefly discussed, the kind of the convention of timeline. Like, there's this void and all that.
Oh, yeah. I guess we'll start there tomorrow.
Yeah, and then we can kind of have that lead into, Hylia, Wizrobes, and go from there. I think that's a good way to go. I think that's a good direction.
I might try and work on the dialogue for the third level after I ate dinner or something.
Tangent. I'm a bit tired, so my brain is only working on 25%. But Cobalt Crusader kind of said what I wanted to say, just in a way more.
Fire occurs in the presence of an excess of energy, provided that there's fuel to feed it. Yeah, I would say that's that's a decent way of translating it into materialist language. Yeah, that's.
Yeah,
I think that's
what I mean.
Yeah. I'm kind of interested in trying to find a bridge between the two worldviews, but I actually think it's just better if people can just switch between the two worldviews, like at will, like, you know, just switch from the scientific framework to the other framework and go back.
Basically,
and
forth. Fire equals warmth, which also, but it also equals cooking, food good, yummy, civilization, yes, good, water bad, everyone drowns.
It's an ordering principle, but you can go too far with ordering the world. In a lot of ancient cosmologies, there's kind of like this balance between the two forces that mankind maintains. Like, a lot of things that's missing from the modern world, which I think we've talked about in a live stream before, is the concept of like a margin around.
Yeah.
Around, you have your center, you have like your city, you have your ordering principles, yada yada yada. But around the city, you kind of have like a buffer zone where it's not exactly lawless, but like, you know, your police are a little bit or I guess in the ancient world is more like your armies. Your armies kind of let crime get a little bit, you know, they let things go. You know, there's things like prostitution and stuff. The rules kind of broke down. You know, territory between empires was vague. There's like buffer zones. Like, a lot of that is missing in the modern world. Everything's like hyper ordered. Like, we have clear borders. There's no like. The thing is, there are margins and stuff. They've just manifested in strange ways where humans aren't purposely manifesting them like they used to in ancient cities, but yeah.
Yeah. It's basically, I think, obviously there are multiple facets to it, but I think, like, when we speak of fire and order, fire, in that context, fire is usually associated with civilization. With civilization is order, right? It's society, energy, the stuff we need to keep the civilization running, while water in the other like in this context is, and I'm not saying like water as in drinking water necessarily. I'm thinking about the ocean and flood and big bodies of water, because those are inherently scary to humans, or they have been for a long time.
Well, again, in ancient cosmology, water doesn't refer specifically to H2O. It's liquids in general.
Yeah, anything that is kind of hard to define, that is a liquid,
it's just like the word earth in ancient cosmology doesn't refer to an orb floating through space. Earth refers to anything that is physical, basically, or anything that comes from the physical realm, which everything you can see, basically, that isn't in the sky.
I mean, it's the same thing, like, kind of the best way about, in ancient cosmology, just try to draw water. It's very difficult, actually.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the idea behind it. It's difficult to define.
No, I mean, I find that worldview like so helpful, like, and like just day-to-day life. I think it's because it's the natural way humans perceive the world, like. The kind of modernist kind of like, we gotta scientifically analyze everything. That's a very, no pun intended, a very artificial way of seeing the world. It's useful for very specific things, but it's like I always say, 99.999% of all the human beings that ever existed and ever will exist will never experience the sun the way that science describes it.
No.
And even then, people only experience it the way science describes it, through highly artificial and specific tools. They're not experiencing the sun like the way it's described, and by astrophysicists. It's funny. There's like a dark humor. Like, every time I hear like someone give a scientific description, I just want to be like, that's so cute. It's like, oh, you really like your machines. You really like your telescope you built. That's so cute. I just want to pat a scientist on the head. Anyway, I think we'll end it now, and we'll try and do one of these tomorrow. I need to I need to message Odysseus because actually I had plans with him tomorrow.
Yeah, I need to get food and then I'm gonna crash because I'm half a zombie at this point.
All right, we'll try and do the live stream a little bit earlier tomorrow.
Yeah.
There is a possibility that I'll be worn out tomorrow though, and I might just save it for next weekend. So
yeah, just tell me if that's the case. If we
Yeah.
do it tomorrow or next week, that's that's the same for me really.
Yeah, I'm actually kind of glad that you decided to wrap this up because I'm starting to feel really worn out. I mean, we've been going for almost 3 hours. That's usually when I hit my point where I'm like done. So we're.
Well, I hit my point like an hour ago, I think.
Okay, well, all right. Well, hopefully you guys enjoyed that. I'm sorry that the internet like died. I think 3 times or 4 times. Hopefully tomorrow. I mean, we went an hour and a half without any internet problems. Hopefully tomorrow my internet is fine. I doubt it will be, but maybe it'll be fine.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll
Solid.
see. I guess I could if we do the stream. Just tell me, Neph, and I can tell people on Discord that it's gonna happen, so that people know about it at least.
All right. I hope it goes better tomorrow. By
Yeah,
better, I mean like the internet doesn't cut out and ruin it. We had a really big audience today too. I think that was our.
Yeah.
We had 50 people. That's the biggest audience we've ever had.
You better plan your advertisement campaign to reality.
Yeah, I better practice some of my wizardry. I should get in touch with Alan Moore, even though he's a dark wizard. Anyway, see you guys in the chat. Bye.
See ya. Bye.